You know, I feel bad for Spencer Rattler. There is no denying the fact that this kid has not been set up for success in New Orleans. Saints are a flaming ass fire with arguably the worst general manager in the league. Last year during his rookie season, Spence is throwing to receivers who would struggle to make my daughter's high school flag football team. His head coach was Denise Allen, who is without a doubt the worst head coach in the history of the NFL. This year, it really hasn't been much better. Chris Olave is overrated. He's not a number one receiver. Rashid Shaheed likely is not a starting receiver for any other team in the league. Spence is dealing with a rookie head coach who is learning on the job, along with an organization whose incompetence is growing the further they get away from the Drew Brees and Sean Payton era. The point is, it's easy to make excuses for Spencer Rattler. And look, I'm guilty of doing that. I'm guilty of making excuses. I'm guilty of blaming everyone else for his failure. Spencer Rattler is 0-10. He's likely going to be 0-11 after the Saints lose to the Giants on Sunday. And speaking of the Giants, their game Sunday, Jackson Dart more specifically, but the Giants game Sunday against the Chargers, it was a reminder for Uncle KC. It reminded me that franchise quarterbacks often go into bad situations. It reminded me that Drew Brees came to New Orleans in 2006. Saints went 3-13 the year before, and the city was absolutely destroyed by Katrina. It reminded me that quarterbacks are supposed to be responsible for elevating the rest of the team. And I don't think Spencer Rattler is physically capable of doing that. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. Up here, mentally, Spencer Rattler has what it takes. This kid is tough. He seems to be respected by his teammates. Unlike Donnie Carr, he's not afraid to take hits. Spence doesn't collapse in the pocket every time an edge rusher unleashes his boodle breeze. He doesn't crack under pressure. I never get the feeling that the moment is too big for him. The problem with Spencer Rattler, I don't think he's got it here. There are some things that either can't be taught or are incredibly difficult to teach. One of the reasons that Drew Brees is in the conversation for the greatest quarterback to ever play, Drew Brees was the most accurate passer that the NFL's ever seen, and he didn't learn his accuracy at the Manning Passing Academy. This dude was a surgeon in the pocket. Drew Brees could read a defense in less than a second and throw a ball into double coverage that only his receiver could catch. Drew Brees had the ability to throw anyone open. Didn't matter who it was. This dude made Marcus Colston, who came from Hofstra, drafted, I think, in the 7th round. He made Marcus Colston an elite receiver. Lance Moore, Devery Henderson, Robert Meacham. You know how many of those dudes are in the Hall of Fame? None. Hell, they're not even Pro Bowlers. But for Drew Brees, it didn't matter. It became routine to hear announcers on game day say, we're midway through the first quarter and Drew Brees has completed passes to 8 different receivers. I miss it. I miss it every Sunday. We did not know how good we had it back then. Neither did Jimmy Graham, who was the best tight end in the league while he was in New Orleans. Leaves Drew Brees, and he was essentially a bum. That's what elite quarterbacks do. They take average receivers and elevate them to elite status. And I just don't think Spencer Rattler is physically capable of doing that. Not only does he not have the ability to throw receivers open, Spencer Rattler is struggling to hit wide open receivers. In the rare instance that one of his receivers is open after creating separation, which is not very often, Spencer Rattler can't hit them if they're beyond 10 yards. Sunday afternoon, Brandon Cooks wide open in the end zone. For an average, maybe even below average NFL quarterback, this was an easy 17, 20-yard throw and catch. If Spencer Rattler throws a somewhat accurate pass, Saints take the lead early in the fourth quarter. Instead, he once again throws behind Brandon Cooks, and the Saints have to kick a field goal. Saints fans, and I put that in quotations because it is painfully obvious that they're not watching these games. Saints fans who only look at stats, they are complaining that we don't throw enough deep passes. Our offense is vanilla. Spencer Rattler is in the top 10 in passes thrown over 10 and 20 yards. The problem is he can't hit them. This was a problem for him in college. It was a problem last year. And it's been a magnified problem this year. On passes thrown over 20 yards, NFL quarterbacks, on average, complete them around 40% of the time. Last year, Spencer Rattler, 19%. This year, 27%. That's not something that gets better with time. Matter of fact, your accuracy with deep passes, it gets worse as you get older. The last 2 years of his career, Drew Brees couldn't throw the deep ball. Over the next 3 weeks, Saints have Giants, Patriots, Bears. I think Spencer Rattler, at minimum, has to go 2-1 to keep his job. And he's got to be the reason that the Saints are winning. If that does not happen, I think Kellen Moore will keep Spencer Rattler as the starter the next 2 weeks. I think they had the Bucs and the Rams. But when the Saints play the Panthers on November 9th, I think Tyler Shutt will be the starter. And I hate it for Spencer Rattler because I like him. Unfortunately, though, for Spence, I like winning more than I like him, and I'm tired of watching the Saints lose. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the main channel.